She was running barefoot across the rough soil of her father's farm, her breathing ragged, her heart pounding as if it were about to tear out of her chest. The night was heavy with silence except for the crunch of her feet on the dry ground, the occasional sting of sharp pebbles cutting her soles, and the distant roar of her father's furious voice echoing behind her. She didn't look back, for she already knew what was chasing her: anger, fear, and the prison she had grown up in. Her father was a man hardened by years of drought, loss, and bitterness. His farm was his kingdom, and his daughter was a mere shadow in it, expected to obey, expected to carry burdens beyond her young age. But tonight, something inside her broke, something inside her screamed that there had to be more to life than endless labor and shouted commands. She ran without a plan, without shoes, without knowing where the dirt road would take her, only clinging to the desperate hope that freedom lay ahead. The moonlight cast long silver streaks over the dry fields, and the smell of earth and old hay filled her nose. Her lungs burned with exhaustion, but her legs didn't stop. She stumbled once, catching herself on her palms, scraping them bloody against the rocks, but she pushed forward. Behind her, a lantern flickered in her father's hand, the glow bouncing with his long strides as he called her name with rage. She didn't dare let him catch her. She had seen enough of what happened when people disobeyed him. She whispered silent prayers into the night, begging God, destiny, or whoever was listening to send her a miracle. And then, out of the dust, her miracle came riding in. A cowboy, broad-shouldered and rugged, with a wide hat shadowing his face, appeared on horseback from the direction of the old trail. His stallion's hooves thundered across the path, and for a moment she froze, unsure if she was running toward danger or salvation. But when his eyes caught hers, dark and steady even under the moon's glow, she felt something she had never felt before: safety. He reined his horse in beside her, leaning low, his hand outstretched. "Get up," he shouted over the rush of hooves and the pounding of her heart. She hesitated only a second before grabbing his hand, her tiny fingers clutching his calloused grip. In one swift motion, he pulled her up onto the saddle in front of him. She gasped as the horse surged forward, leaving her father's shouts fading behind them. The cowboy didn't look back. He leaned low over her, shielding her from the wind, his arms strong and protective as he steered them away from the farm. For the first time in her life, she felt the strange taste of freedom. The girl clung to him, trembling, not from fear but from relief. The cowboy didn't speak for a long while, just let the horse carry them across the wide open fields, the stars above like silent witnesses. She tried to speak, but no words came. Finally, he slowed the horse near a quiet stream, its waters glistening silver in the moonlight. He dismounted first, then gently lifted her down as if she were made of glass. She could barely stand, her feet cut and bleeding, but she refused to collapse. He studied her for a long moment, his eyes soft yet serious, before finally saying, "You ran far. Must have been real bad back there." She swallowed hard, her lips trembling, but she managed to whisper, "I couldn't stay." Her voice cracked with the weight of those words, words that carried years of pain. He nodded, understanding more than she could have ever explained. Cowboys knew hardship, knew the scars life left behind. He removed his bandana and carefully tied it around her wounded foot, then reached for his saddlebag, pulling out a canteen. She drank greedily, water spilling down her chin, her chest heaving as tears welled up in her eyes. The cowboy crouched in front of her, steady and patient. "You're safe now," he said quietly, a promise in his tone. The girl looked at him, her soul aching with gratitude and disbelief. For years she had lived without hope, yet tonight hope rode in on horseback and lifted her to safety. She didn't know who this stranger was, or why fate had led him across her path at that exact moment, but she knew her life would never be the same again. And as the night deepened, and the stars burned brighter, the girl whispered a silent vow to herself: she would never go back. The cowboy lit a small fire by the stream, its warm glow pushing back the shadows of the night. The girl sat close, hugging her knees to her chest, staring into the flames as if they held answers. she still couldn't fully believe she had escaped. Every crackle of the fire made her flinch, every rustle in the grass made her glance back over her shoulder, half expecting her father's shadow to appear. But the cowboy's presence was steady, like an unshakable wall between her and the darkness. His horse grazed nearby, snorting softly, and the air was filled with the smell of wood smoke and earth. He finally broke the silence. "What's your name?" She hesitated, then whispered it, almost afraid to say it aloud, as if names carried chains that could drag her back. The cowboy nodded. "Name's Jack," he said simply. "Don't got much, but I reckon you've had less. So until you figure where you're headed, you can ride with me." His voice was calm, no pity in it, just plain truth, and somehow that steadiness anchored her trembling heart. As the hours passed, Jack told her little bits about himself. He was a drifter, working ranches when they needed a hand, moving on when the job was done. He'd seen his share of hard men, broken families, and scars left by life's cruelty. Maybe that was why he didn't ask her too many questions, he already knew enough to see the pain in her eyes. Instead, he told stories about the wide plains, about wild horses running free, about rivers that glittered gold under the sun. Slowly, the tightness in her chest began to loosen. When dawn broke, painting the sky with strokes of pink and orange, the girl felt something she hadn't felt in years: possibility. The farm was behind her, her father's shadow fading with the night. Ahead lay a horizon she had never dared to imagine. Her bare feet ached, her body bruised, but her spirit stirred with something fierce and alive. As they rode together, the cowboy guiding his horse with ease, she asked softly, "Why did you help me?" He looked ahead for a long moment before answering. "Because I've seen too many folks left behind. Too many folks think they ain't worth saving. But everyone deserves a chance to run free." His words struck her deep, sinking into her soul. She realized then that freedom wasn't just running away, it was believing she was worthy of a life better than the one she had. By midday, they reached a ridge overlooking a vast valley. The girl's eyes widened as she saw fields stretching endlessly, mountains standing proud in the distance, rivers glistening like ribbons of light. She felt small, yet not weak. For the first time, the world looked big not because it was frightening, but because it was full of places she could go. Jack dismounted and helped her down, letting her stand barefoot in the grass. "This is where it starts," he said. "A new road. You get to choose where it leads." Tears filled her eyes, not from sadness but from the overwhelming weight of freedom. She nodded, clutching the memory of every painful step she had taken, knowing those steps had carried her here. The girl closed her eyes and let the wind brush her face, carrying away the last whispers of her father's farm. She wasn't running anymore. She was beginning. And to you, dear listener, who has followed this journey until the end, remember this: life will put obstacles in your path, people will try to hold you down, and fear will whisper that you cannot escape. But just like the girl who ran barefoot from her father's farm, you too can find the strength to break free, to fight for your own tomorrow. Never believe that your story is over, because every sunrise is proof that new beginnings are possible. If this story touched your heart, if it made you feel hope stirring inside, then don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Your support keeps these stories alive and brings more inspiration to those who need it. Together, let's keep reminding the world that no matter how dark the night gets, freedom, courage, and hope are always waiting just beyond the horizon.